The afternoon sun hangs low over the Yucatan Peninsula, casting long golden shadows across the ancient stones of Chichen Itza. You walk slowly along a worn limestone path, feeling the warmth of the day beginning to soften, beginning to ease. The air is still and heavy with the scent of dry earth and distant tropical flowers. All around you, the ruins of this sacred city rise from the jungle, pyramids and temples that have stood for more than 1,000 years, watching, waiting, holding the secrets of those who built them. But you are not walking toward the Great Pyramid today. No, your path leads elsewhere, to a structure less imposing but no less sacred. Ahead, rising from a stone platform, you see it. El Caracol, the observatory, its rounded tower catching the amber light like a vessel holding the last warmth of day. The building seems to glow from within, its ancient stones rendered soft and welcoming in the fading afternoon. As you approach, you feel a sense of anticipation, quiet and gentle, like the feeling before a long-awaited rest. This is a place where the earth meets the sky, where human eyes have turned upward for centuries, seeking patterns in the heavens, seeking meaning in the movement of stars. Tonight, you too will watch the sky. Tonight, you will step into the rhythm of ancient astronomers and know the peace they knew, the deep, abiding calm that comes from witnessing the eternal dance of celestial bodies. You breathe in slowly, deeply, feeling your footsteps steady and sure upon the stone. The journey has begun. You climb the stone steps slowly, each one worn smooth by countless feet over countless years. The stones are warm beneath your hands as you steady yourself, still holding the heat of the day, though the air grows cooler now. The sun descends toward the horizon, painting the sky in layers, pale gold nearest the earth, then amber, then a deepening rose that will soon give way to violet and indigo. At the top of the platform, you pause and turn to look back across the ancient city. From here, you can see the tops of other structures emerging from the surrounding forest, the sacred cenote in the distance, the long stone pathways that connect temple to temple, plaza to plaza. Everything is bathed in that particular quality of light that exists only in the hour before dusk, when the world seems suspended between day and night, between waking and dreaming. You turn back toward the observatory entrance, and there, in the shadowed doorway, you see a figure. He is dressed in simple woven cotton, undyed and natural, the color of cream and sand. Around his shoulders rests a mantle decorated with symbols you recognize: stars, planets, the sacred glyphs of the Maya calendar. His face is calm, weathered, with deep lines around his eyes from years of squinting at the sky, searching for celestial truths. He is the astronomer priest, the keeper of time, the watcher of heavens. He nods to you slowly, a gesture of welcome that requires no words. His presence is gentle, unhurried, and you feel immediately that there is no rush here, no urgency. Time moves differently in this place. Time moves as the stars move, steadily, predictably, with infinite patience. The astronomer gestures for you to follow, and you step through the doorway into the cool interior of the observatory. The interior of El Caracol embraces you with coolness and shadow. Your eyes adjust gradually to the dimmer light, and you become aware of the space around you. A circular chamber with walls of fitted stone, each block placed with precision and care. The air here is different from outside. It is still, almost sacred in its quietness, and it carries a faint scent of copal incense from ceremonies past. The astronomer moves through the space with practiced ease, lighting small oil lamps that cast gentle pools of amber light against the stone. Each flame settles into a steady glow, neither flickering wildly nor fading, just burning with calm constancy. In the soft lamplight, you see the tools of his trade arranged with reverence on low stone benches. Sheets of bark paper covered in intricate glyphs and numerical notations, brushes made from fine animal hair, small ceramic vessels containing pigments of red and black. There are carved wooden instruments you don't immediately recognize, their purposes mysterious, but their craftsmanship beautiful. Everything has its place. Everything speaks of order, of ritual, of work performed not in haste, but with devotion. The astronomer moves to one of the windows, not a window as you might think of it, but a carefully aligned opening in the stone, narrow and precise. He places his hand on the edge of the opening and looks out toward the horizon, where the sun now touches the earth, beginning its descent into the underworld, as the Maya understood it. He speaks for the first time, his voice low and melodious, each word measured and intentional. He tells you that every evening begins this way, with the lighting of lamps, the preparation of instruments, the acknowledgement of the sun's departure. This is not simply routine, he explains. This is ritual. This is prayer made tangible through action. To watch the heavens is a sacred duty passed down through generations, and it begins always with preparation, with creating the right conditions for observation, for patience, for the slow unfolding of celestial truth. Together, you and the astronomer prepare for the night ahead. He shows you how to smooth the bark paper, how to hold the brush so the ink flows evenly, creating glyphs that will record the positions of stars and planets. His hands move with certainty born of decades of practice, each gesture economical and graceful. You don't need to master these skills yourself. Simply watching is enough. Simply being present in this ritual of preparation is enough. Outside, through the narrow windows, the sky continues its transformation. The gold has faded now, replaced by deep rose and violet. The first star appears. Actually not a star at all, the astronomer notes with a gentle smile, but Venus, the evening star, the bright wanderer that the Maya called No-Ek, the great star. It hangs in the western sky like a jewel, steady and radiant, and seeing it seems to satisfy something deep within the astronomer. He marks the moment in his mind. You can tell, noting the exact position, the exact time. Venus appears, and the watching truly begins. He invites you to look through one of the aligned windows, positioning yourself just so. When you do, you see how the opening frames the sky perfectly, how it isolates a specific portion of the heavens, removing distractions, creating focus. This is the genius of the observatory, he explains quietly. These windows are not random. They align with the rising and setting points of Venus, the sun at equinoxes, the moon at its extremes. They turn the vast, overwhelming sky into something comprehensible, something that can be measured and understood. Through these stone frames, chaos becomes order. The infinite becomes knowable. You step back from the window and settle onto a woven mat the astronomer has laid out. It is comfortable, supportive, and you realize you could sit here for hours without discomfort. Indeed, that is exactly what you will do. The astronomer sits nearby, his posture relaxed but attentive. Night is falling in earnest now, and the real work, the peaceful, meditative work of watching, is about to begin. The last light fades from the western horizon, and darkness settles over Chichen Itza like a soft blanket. But it is not complete darkness, far from it. As your eyes adjust, you see more stars emerging, one by one, then in clusters, then in great sweeping rivers of light. The sky fills with celestial fire, more stars than you've perhaps ever seen, undiminished by modern lights, pure and clear and ancient. The astronomer sits in stillness, his breathing slow and even, his gaze fixed upward through the observatory windows. He is not tense, not straining to see. Instead, he is settled into a state of receptive awareness, allowing the sky to reveal itself to him rather than grasping after it. You find yourself naturally falling into the same rhythm. Your breathing slows, your thoughts quiet. The concerns of the day, whatever they might have been, seem distant now, unimportant, like memories from another lifetime. Here, in this circular stone chamber, with the stars beginning their nightly procession overhead, there is only this moment, only this breath, only this ancient, peaceful watching. The astronomer speaks once more, his voice barely above a whisper, telling you that this is how every night of observation begins. With preparation, yes, but also with surrender. With allowing yourself to become part of the rhythm of the cosmos, to stop resisting the flow of time, and instead to float upon it like a leaf on a slow river. The stars will move at their own pace. The planets will follow their ordained paths. Your task is not to control or hurry, but simply to witness, to be present, to honor the sacred duty of watching. And in that watching, in that patient, peaceful attention, you will find a rest deeper than sleep, a calm more profound than any you've known. The night has begun. The stars are emerging, and you are exactly where you need to be. The first star appears so softly you almost miss it. A single point of light in the deepening indigo above, tentative as a whisper, delicate as breath. The astronomer beside you lifts one hand, pointing without words, and you follow that gesture upward to where the evening sky has begun its ancient transformation. The light is neither day nor night now, but something in between, that liminal blue hour when the world holds its breath and waits. Another star emerges, and then another, each one a quiet announcement, a gentle arrival. The astronomer's voice comes low and peaceful, barely louder than the cooling breeze that moves through the stone observatory. "They return," he says simply, and in those two words you hear reverence, satisfaction, the deep calm of witnessing something that has happened every evening since time began and will continue long after you have gone. You feel the stone cool beneath your hands, the ancient limestone that has absorbed the heat of the day, now releasing it slowly into the twilight. The air itself seems to change texture, becoming softer, more present against your skin. The astronomer moves slowly toward one of the observatory's windows. Not the large openings you saw earlier, but a smaller one, precisely carved, angled with such exactness that you know centuries of knowledge went into its placement. He invites you to approach, to look through this window that is not merely an opening, but an instrument, a frame for understanding the cosmos. As you move closer, your footsteps sound gentle on the stone floor, and you become aware of how quiet everything has become. The daytime sounds have faded, no birds now, no distant voices from the plaza below. Only the soft movement of wind, the whisper of fabric as the astronomer's cotton robe shifts, the sound of your own breathing, steady and calm. Through the window, you see a section of sky perfectly framed, as if the ancient architects knew exactly which piece of the heavens deserved this particular honor. And there, just rising above the tree line in the distance, brighter than the other stars, steady and radiant, is Venus, the evening star. The astronomer's smile is audible in his voice. "Noek," he says, "the great star. She who walks ahead of the sun and returns each evening to guide us into darkness." You watch Venus climb slowly, imperceptibly, marking its eternal path. The astronomer explains that this window captures Venus at specific moments in its cycle, that the builders of this place understood the planet's rhythms so intimately they could predict its appearance years, decades, centuries in advance. And standing here, watching this bright beacon in the darkening sky, you feel connected to all those who have stood in this exact spot, watching this exact phenomenon, finding comfort in its predictability, its faithful return. Time seems to gentle itself, to slow and spread like honey. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. Only this, watching, waiting, witnessing the patient emergence of light from darkness. The astronomer guides you to another window now, on a different wall, angled differently, awaiting different celestial visitors. The observatory reveals itself as a place of many perspectives, many carefully planned viewpoints, each one a conversation between human understanding and cosmic pattern. As you cross the circular chamber, for the building is round, you notice, like the cycles it studies, the darkness has deepened further. Where there were a handful of stars minutes ago, now there are dozens, hundreds, emerging like a slow exhalation, like thoughts gradually becoming visible. The second window faces east, and through it you see the constellation the Maya called the cosmic hearth. 3 stars in a perfect triangle, the hearthstones of creation. The astronomer's voice takes on the quality of story now, of ancient knowledge passed down through generations of watchers. He tells you that these 3 stars hold up the sky itself, that they are the center of the heavens, the place where the gods first lit the fire that brought light to the world. His words are slow, measured, timed to the rhythm of the peaceful night. You find yourself breathing in sync with his speaking, long, slow breaths that fill your lungs with cool evening air, air that smells faintly of copal incense from ceremonies earlier in the day, of stone and starlight, and the green living presence of the jungle that surrounds this ancient place. Through this window, you watch as more stars arrange themselves around the cosmic hearth, constellations appearing like characters in a story, each one taking its appointed place. The astronomer names them softly, not the names you might know, but the names given by his people, names that speak of jaguars and serpents, of maze gods and hero twins, of stories written in light across the darkness. And you realize that the sky is not just a random scattering of stars, but a narrative, a great mythic tale that unfolds every night in the same order, with the same patience, with the same inevitable beauty. The stone wall is cool against your shoulder as you lean slightly, settling into position, and you understand why the ancient astronomers could spend entire nights like this, standing, watching, waiting for the sky to reveal its wisdom. There is something deeply restful in this kind of attention, this focused yet relaxed awareness. You are not straining to see, not anxious about missing anything. The stars will appear in their own time. Venus will continue its climb. The cosmic hearth will burn steadily overhead. All you must do is remain present, remain open, remain peacefully awake to the wonder unfolding so gradually that you could almost believe nothing is happening. And yet everything is happening. The greatest show in existence, performed exclusively for those patient enough to watch. The astronomer has fallen quiet now, allowing the sky itself to teach, and in that silence you hear the profound peace of the observatory, of this sacred duty, of this eternal watching that requires nothing but presence. You move to the center of the observatory now, to a place where you can see not through any single window, but upward, through the open tower above, where the stone walls fall away and the sky opens fully, completely, without frame or boundary. The astronomer gestures for you to sit on a woven mat that has been placed here, clearly intended for long hours of observation. The mat is soft, expertly crafted, and still holds a faint warmth from the sun it absorbed during the day. You settle down slowly, feeling your body relax into the position, and immediately the view above transforms. The sky becomes everything, a dome of deepening darkness, scattered now with what must be thousands of stars, more appearing every moment as your eyes adjust, as the night deepens, as the final traces of twilight surrender to true darkness. The astronomer sits nearby, and you hear the soft rustle of bark paper, the gentle scratch of a bone stylus as he begins his nightly records. But he continues to speak, his voice now part of the night itself, blending with the whisper of wind and the distant call of a night bird. He tells you about patience, about the sacred practice of watching. He explains that his people do not merely glance at the sky, but truly see it, night after night, year after year, generation after generation. This is how they learned the patterns, the cycles, the deep rhythms that govern all things. By watching, by waiting, by allowing the cosmos to reveal itself in its own time. And as he speaks, you feel yourself settling even more deeply into stillness, into the mat beneath you, into the ancient stone space that holds you. Your breathing has become almost imperceptible, slow and steady, each inhale bringing cool night air, each exhale releasing any remaining tension, any last fragments of hurry or concern. Above you, the stars continue their patient work of appearing, of arranging themselves into the patterns they have held for longer than human memory. Venus now burns brightly in the west, having climbed higher in the time you've been here, though you never notice the exact moment of its rising. This is the nature of celestial movement, so slow it seems like stillness, yet constant, inevitable, always progressing. The astronomer points upward with his stylus, drawing your attention to a particular cluster of stars. The Pleiades, though he calls them by another name, a name that sounds like rain, like planting, like the promise of harvest. He explains that when these stars appear in a certain position, it is time to prepare the fields. When they disappear for a season, it is time to gather in the crops. The sky is a calendar, he says, more reliable than any human counting, more faithful than any memory. You can trust the stars. They will always return. They will always show you the way. And in his words, you hear an invitation not just to watch the stars, but to trust in cycles, in return, in the deep reliability of pattern and repetition. There is comfort here, profound comfort, in knowing that what you see tonight, you will see again tomorrow night, and the night after that, forever. The cosmos is not random, but ordered, not chaotic, but calm, not uncertain, but eternally, peacefully predictable. The night air has grown cooler now, a gentle coolness that feels refreshing against your skin, that invites you to wrap your arms loosely around yourself or to pull closer the cotton blanket the astronomer has quietly offered. The gesture was wordless, simply a soft draping of fabric over your shoulders, and you accepted it with equal silence, with a small nod of gratitude that he probably couldn't see in the darkness, but certainly felt. This is the rhythm you've settled into now. Long periods of quiet watching, punctuated by brief, soft-spoken observations from the astronomer, small pieces of wisdom offered like gifts, never demanded, never insisted upon, simply presented for you to receive if you wish. He points out Mars, reddish even to your untrained eye, steady in its slow journey through the constellations. He shows you Jupiter, brighter than the stars around it, and explains that these wandering stars, the planets, are the ones that require the most careful observation. For they do not stay fixed like the others, but move in their own complex dances through the heavens. His ancestors watched them for lifetimes, he says, tracking their movements, discovering their patterns, learning to predict where they would be seasons or years in the future. And this knowledge was not merely curiosity, but sacred duty, for the movements of the planets told the Maya people when to perform ceremonies, when to plant and harvest, when to hold festivals, when to prepare for transformation and change. The sky was their book, the stars their writing, and the patient practice of watching was how they read the wisdom of the gods. You find yourself captivated not just by the information, but by the way he speaks it, slowly, peacefully, with the assurance of someone sharing truth that has been tested over centuries and found reliable. There is no hurry in his teaching, no anxiety that you might not understand. If you miss something, the sky will show it again tomorrow. If you don't grasp a pattern this night, there will be 1,000 more nights to watch, to learn, to gradually allow understanding to dawn like the slow emergence of stars themselves. Your eyes have fully adjusted now, and the sky is a revelation. Where you once saw a handful of stars, you now see layers upon layers, depths of light, subtle variations of brightness and color. Some stars shine steady and white, others pulse gently with red or blue tints. Some seem to cluster together as if in conversation, while others stand solitary, proud in their isolation. And beneath and behind them all, beginning to become visible now in the true darkness, is the faint luminous band of the Milky Way, that river of stars the astronomer calls the world tree, the cosmic axis that connects the underworld, the earthly realm, and the heavens. You lie back fully now, the mat soft beneath you, the blanket warm around your shoulders, and simply gaze upward, no longer trying to identify or understand, just allowing the vastness to wash over you, to fill your vision, to remind you of your small but significant place in this immense, ancient, ongoing story. Time has become something different here, something elastic and soft, no longer measured by minutes or hours, but by the gradual wheeling of the stars overhead, by the steady climb of Venus toward its zenith, by the slow, almost imperceptible arc of constellations from east to west. You have stopped wondering what time it is, when this will end, what comes next. There is only this eternal now, this perfect present moment that somehow contains all moments. All the nights that ancient astronomers have watched from this very spot, all the nights yet to come when future watchers will sit exactly where you sit, seeing exactly what you see. The astronomer has grown quieter still, his recordings complete for this portion of the evening, his teaching done. Now he simply watches with you, two humans sharing the ancient practice of bearing witness to the cosmos. You can hear his breathing, slow and regular, almost meditative, and you realize your own breath has matched his rhythm. Long, slow draws of cool night air, long, slow releases. Your heartbeat has slowed as well, calm and steady. No longer something you notice, but simply something you are, like the stone beneath you, like the stars above. A meteor streaks suddenly across your vision, there and gone in less than a second, and you hear the astronomer's soft sound of acknowledgement, a gentle hum that might be pleasure or satisfaction or simply recognition. The cosmos is alive, he seems to say without words. It moves, it changes, it surprises us even as it follows its eternal patterns. There is room for both, the predictable cycles and the unexpected grace of a falling star. You feel profoundly peaceful now, held by the observatory, by the darkness, by the patient watching that asks nothing of you but presence. Your body has settled into complete relaxation, warm beneath the blanket, comfortable on the mat, supported by stone that has stood for centuries and will stand for centuries more. Your mind has quieted too, no longer racing with thoughts or plans or memories, simply resting in awareness, in the gentle act of seeing, of being here, of participating in this sacred duty that is also profound rest. The stars turn overhead, constant and faithful, and you turn with them, part of the dance, part of the pattern, part of the great cosmic story that has no beginning and no end, only this endless, beautiful present moment under the vast, peaceful, star-filled sky. The astronomer whispers something you almost don't hear, words that blend with wind and starlight. This is how we find peace. This is how we remember we are part of something eternal. This is how we rest. And you understand, deeply and wordlessly, that this watching is not work but grace. Not effort but ease, not exhausting but endlessly, perfectly restorative. You are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you're meant to do, and there is nowhere else, nothing else, no one else, only stars and silence and the sweet, deep peace of cosmic time. And so you remain suspended in this timeless moment, watching as the night deepens around you. The astronomer sits nearby, a presence more felt than seen in the darkness, and after a long while of comfortable silence, he reaches for something beside him. The soft rustle of bark paper unfurling fills the quiet space, a sound so gentle it seems part of the night itself. You watch as he smooths the paper across a flat stone surface, his movements slow and deliberate, each gesture carrying the weight of ritual performed countless times before. A small lamp burns low beside him, its flame no bigger than your thumbnail, casting just enough golden light to illuminate the paper without disturbing the precious darkness. He lifts a brush, its tip darkened with ink made from soot and tree resin, and begins to mark the paper with symbols you don't fully understand, but somehow recognize as sacred. Each mark is placed with patience, with reverence, recording what the sky reveals. This is how knowledge becomes memory, how the fleeting moment becomes eternal record. The scratch of brush on paper is rhythmic, meditative, a quiet counterpoint to the vast silence above. You realize you've been watching the stars for hours now, though time has lost its ordinary meaning. The constellations have shifted across the dome of sky, each one tracing its appointed path with absolute precision. What was low on the eastern horizon has climbed higher. What was overhead has begun its descent toward the west. Everything moves, yet everything remains exactly as it should be. The astronomer pauses in his writing, tilts his head upward, measuring angles and distances with the practiced eye of one who has done this for decades. Then he returns to his paper, adding another careful mark, another piece of data to the endless record. You understand now that this is not simply observation, it is participation in something far greater. By watching, by recording, by bearing witness to the heavens, the Maya people become part of the cosmic order. They don't merely exist beneath the stars. They engage with them, honor them, weave their lives into the great cycles turning overhead. And tonight, you are woven into those cycles too. Your breath rises and falls in the cool night air. Your heartbeat synchronizes with some deep celestial rhythm you can feel but not name. The stone beneath you holds the warmth of the day, slowly releasing it into the night, and you rest against it, supported, held, perfectly safe in this ancient place. The astronomer sets down his brush and speaks softly, his voice barely more than a whisper, telling you about the counts of time. The Maya, he explains, measure existence in interlocking cycles, wheels within wheels, each one turning at its own pace, yet all connected, all part of the sacred pattern. There is the Tzolk'in, he says, the count of 260 days, the sacred calendar that tracks the spiritual journey of life. And there is the Hab, the count of 365 days, marking the agricultural year, the solar journey, the rhythm of seasons and harvests. These two cycles turn together like gears in some vast cosmic mechanism, meeting in the same configuration only once every 52 years. Imagine, he whispers, imagine tracking such enormous spans of time, witnessing these great cycles complete themselves and begin again. The Maya have done this for centuries, for millennia, passing the knowledge from one generation to the next, an unbroken chain of watchers, stretching back into the mists of time and forward into an unimaginable future. You are a single link in that infinite chain tonight, and the thought fills you not with insignificance, but with profound connection, with belonging. The stars continue their slow parade. The astronomer returns to his quiet work, and you simply rest, breathing, being, held in the gentle embrace of cycles too vast to fully comprehend, yet somehow, mysteriously, perfectly comfortable. Time passes in the way it only can when you stop counting it, when you surrender to its natural flow and let it carry you like a leaf on a slow-moving stream. The astronomer continues his patient recording, occasionally pausing to look upward, to trace invisible lines between stars, to murmur calculations in a language both mathematical and poetic. You find yourself watching not just the stars now, but the space between them, that vast darkness that somehow doesn't feel empty but full, pregnant with possibility, with meaning. The ancient Maya understood that darkness is not the absence of light, but a presence in itself, a sacred void from which all things emerge and to which all things return. The night sky is not a backdrop for the stars, but an equal partner in the cosmic dance, giving context and contrast, making the light visible, making the patterns clear. And in this darkness, in this deep and restful night, you feel held as surely as if you were cradled in gentle hands. The astronomer speaks again, his voice so soft you almost feel it rather than hear it. He tells you of the morning star and the evening star, how they are the same wanderer, Venus, the brilliant one, appearing now in the east before dawn, now in the west after sunset, following a pattern that repeats every 584 days. The Maya watched Venus with special reverence, he explains, seeing in its movements a sacred story, a celestial journey that mirrors the soul's journey through life, death, and rebirth. When Venus disappears from the evening sky, it descends into the underworld, only to emerge transformed as the morning star, victorious, renewed. This cycle brought comfort to the Maya, he whispers. It promised that all endings are really beginnings, that what is lost will be found again, that the patterns always return. You think about this as you gaze upward, finding Venus yourself now. There, that especially bright point of light, steady and clear, not twinkling like the stars, but burning with a constant radiance. Knowing you are seeing what countless generations have seen before you, what countless generations will see after you, brings a deep settling to your chest, a loosening of something you didn't know was tight. The astronomer sets down his brush again and leans back against the stone, and for a long while, neither of you speaks. The silence is not awkward but companionable, the silence of two people who have moved beyond the need for words, who understand that sometimes presence is enough, that sometimes simply sharing the witness of the stars is the most profound communication possible. Above you, the constellations continue their eternal rotation. You begin to recognize them now, not by name necessarily, but by shape, by relationship, by the stories they seem to tell across the darkness. There, a cluster that looks almost like a turtle swimming across the cosmic ocean. There, a scattering of stars that forms a canoe carrying souls across the sky river. The Maya saw their world reflected in the heavens, saw the gods and heroes, the animals and sacred symbols, all written in light against the infinite dark. And the beautiful thing, the deeply restful thing, is that these patterns don't change. Generation after generation, the same turtle swims, the same canoe sails, the same stories are told without words, told in the ancient language of starlight and void. Your eyelids grow heavy, not with sleep exactly, but with a kind of peaceful satiation, as if your eyes have drunk deeply of starlight and are full, content. You blink slowly, and each time your eyes close, the darkness is soft and welcoming, and each time they open, the stars are still there, patient, eternal. The astronomer begins to hum, so quietly you barely hear it, a low melodic line that seems to have no beginning and no end, just a continuous gentle sound that vibrates in harmony with the night. It might be a prayer, or a song of thanks, or simply the sound of contentment given voice. You don't need to know which. You simply let it wash over you. Let it become part of the texture of this perfect night, another thread woven into the vast tapestry of peace that surrounds you. Time is not moving forward anymore. It is simply deepening, layer upon layer of peaceful moment, settling atop one another like falling leaves, building into something rich and soft and infinitely restful. The astronomer's humming fades into silence, and the quiet that follows is so complete, so absolute that you can hear your own heartbeat, steady and slow, a drum keeping time in the cathedral of night. He reaches for his paper again, and you watch as he adds more marks, more observations, his movements so practiced they seem almost automatic, leaving his mind free to dwell in contemplation, in meditation. This is what the work has become after years of practice. Not labor, but ritual. Not task, but prayer. not effort, but flow. You understand suddenly that you are witnessing a form of meditation that has been refined over centuries, a spiritual practice disguised as astronomy, or perhaps astronomy revealed as spiritual practice. There is no separation between the sacred and the scientific here, no division between faith and observation. The stars are facts and they are miracles simultaneously, without contradiction. Measuring their movements is both empirical study and holy devotion. Recording their positions is both data collection and worship. The astronomer speaks again, and his words come slowly, with long pauses between them, as if he is pulling them from some deep well of knowledge, and each one must be carefully drawn up, examined, offered to you like a gift. He tells you of the long count, the great calendar that measures vast stretches of time, not days or years, but centuries, millennia, epochs that stretch beyond human comprehension. The Maya measured time not just in human scales, but in cosmic ones, he explains. Counting the days from a creation point so far in the past, it exists more as myth than history, tracking forward toward future dates so distant they dwarf the span of individual lives. And yet, he whispers, even these vast counts are cycles. Even the long count eventually completes itself and begins again. A wheel so enormous it takes thousands of years to turn even once, but a wheel nonetheless, a circle, a return. Everything, he says, comes back to where it began. Everything repeats. The thought might seem monotonous, he continues after a long pause, but instead it is comforting. Instead it is peace. Because if everything returns, then nothing is ever truly lost. If the patterns repeat, then we are never without guidance. If the cycles turn eternally, then we are held in rhythms greater than ourselves, carried along by forces that will not fail, that cannot fail, because they are woven into the very structure of existence itself. You let these words settle into you like stones sinking through water, finding their resting place in the deep places of your mind. Above you, a shooting star traces a brief, brilliant line across the darkness. There and gone in less than a heartbeat, yet somehow the sky seems unchanged, undiminished. Even the fleeting moments are part of the pattern, you realize. Even the brief flashes of light have their place in the eternal design. The astronomer saw it too, you can tell, but he doesn't remark on it, doesn't break the silence to point it out. He simply continues his work, brush moving across paper, recording the permanent lights, the predictable wanderers, the great cycles turning overhead. The stone beneath you seems warmer now, or perhaps you have simply settled into it more completely, your body molding to its contours, finding support in unexpected places. You shift slightly, finding an even more comfortable position, and then you are still again, so still you almost disappear, almost become part of the observatory itself, just another stone, just another silent witness to the wheeling heavens. Your breathing has slowed without you noticing, each breath deeper, fuller, yet somehow requiring no effort at all. The air fills your lungs like water filling a vessel, naturally, inevitably, and empties again, just as naturally, just as inevitably, in and out, in and out. Like the cycles themselves, day and night, waxing and waning, rising and setting, your breath traces its own small circle, its own returning pattern, and you are not breathing so much as being breathed, carried along by the rhythm of life itself. The astronomer caps his ink, sets down his brush, and simply sits, hands resting loosely in his lap, head tilted back, eyes on the stars. His work is done for now. The observations are recorded. The data is preserved. And what remains is simply this: the pure experience of being here, now, under the eternal lights, part of the great pattern woven into the fabric of cosmic time. You understand that this is why he does this night after night, year after year. Not for the data, though the data matters. Not for the calendar, though the calendar serves its purpose. He does this for the peace it brings, for the connection it offers, for the way it allows him to touch something eternal, something that existed before he was born and will continue after he is gone, something vast and beautiful and utterly dependable. The stars will always return, the cycles will always turn, and in that reliability, in that cosmic constancy, there is a peace deeper than any other peace you have ever known. And now, there is only watching, only being, only the slow passage of stars across the great dome of heaven. You have lost track of how long you've been here, hours certainly, but whether 3 or 5 or 7, you cannot say. and it doesn't matter. Clock time has released you from its grip, and you are living now in a different kind of time, the time the astronomer called cosmic time. The time measured not in minutes, but in the width of the sky, not in hours, but in the turning of constellations, not in days, but in the great patient cycles that care nothing for human urgency. This is the time the Earth keeps, the time the stars know, the time that flows like honey, thick and sweet and golden, covering everything in its slow, inevitable progress. You notice details now that you missed before, or perhaps the night is revealing them only now, offering them to you one by one as gifts for your patience. You see that some stars are not white, but faintly colored, some bluish, some golden, some with the barest hint of red, like embers cooling. You see that the darkness itself has texture, that it is not uniform but varies in depth, lighter near the horizons, deeper overhead, with subtle gradations you could never perceive until your eyes had fully adapted, until the night had fully accepted you into itself. You see that the Milky Way, that great river of light stretching across the sky, is not a solid band but composed of countless individual stars, so many and so faint that they blur together into a luminous mist, a celestial fog, a bridge between worlds. The Maya called it the White Road, the astronomer whispers, so quietly you might be imagining his voice. They believed it was the path souls traveled to reach the underworld, the great road in the sky that corresponded to the sacred roads on Earth. Everything connected, he breathes, as above, so below, as in the heavens, so on the earth. Mirror and reflection, pattern and echo. You gaze at the white road and feel the truth of this, that you are not separate from what you observe, that the observer and the observed are part of the same wholeness, that the calcium in your bones was forged in stars now long dead, that you are quite literally made of stardust, made of the same substance that glitters above you in the infinite dark. The boundary between self and cosmos dissolves like mist in sunlight, and you are not a person watching stars, but awareness itself, consciousness recognizing itself in countless forms, waking up to its own nature. The thought is too large to hold, so you let it go, let it drift away into the peaceful darkness, and return to the simple fact of breathing, of being, of witnessing. A planet, perhaps Jupiter, perhaps Saturn, you're not certain, glows steadily above the western horizon, and you watch it with soft focus, not straining to see details, but simply allowing your gaze to rest upon it, to be with it. The Maya word for planet, the astronomer murmurs, means wanderer, the one who moves, the one who changes position against the fixed stars. They tracked the wanderers with special care, he says, because their movements were more complex, more challenging to predict, and therefore more sacred, more significant. Venus and Mars, Jupiter and Saturn, and even Mercury, though swift and hard to catch, all of them were noted, measured, woven into the calculations and the prophecies. Prophecy, he says after a pause, is not about predicting the future as you might think. It is about understanding the patterns deeply enough to know what naturally comes next, what must come next, what the cycles themselves require. It is about reading the language of time itself. You ponder this, turning it over in your mind like a smooth stone, examining it from different angles, understanding patterns, recognizing cycles, knowing that what has happened before will, in its essence, happen again. There is something deeply reassuring about this worldview, something that quiets anxiety, that gentles fear. If the patterns always return, then this too shall pass, whatever this is. If the cycles always continue, then despair is never permanent, joy is never final. Everything moves and changes and comes around again. You are not fixed in any single moment, but carried along by the great turning. And all you must do is relax into it, trust it, let it carry you as the stars are carried across the sky, not by their own effort, but by the turning of the cosmos itself, effortless, graceful, utterly reliable. Your eyes begin to drift closed, not in sleep, but in a kind of waking rest, a state between consciousness and dream, where the boundaries blur and everything becomes soft, fluid, peaceful. You can still see the stars, somehow, even through your closed eyelids, or perhaps you're simply remembering them, or perhaps there is no difference anymore between seeing and remembering, between experiencing and knowing. In this state of deep restfulness, time becomes even more elastic, stretching and condensing like breathing itself, and you float in a sea of darkness lit by distant fires, each one a sun, each one a world, each one a story you will never know but can honor nonetheless by simply acknowledging its existence, its light, its place in the pattern. The astronomer is so still now that you almost forget he is there, and then you sense him again, a warm presence, a fellow traveler through the night, and the awareness of companionship brings another layer of peace. You are alone, but not lonely. You are silent, but not isolated. You are small, but not insignificant. The stars have witnessed everything. The astronomer breathes, his voice now almost indistinguishable from your own thoughts, as if the idea is arising from within you rather than from outside. They watch the pyramids being built, stone by stone. They watched the first seeds planted, the first children born. They watched great cities rise and fall, watched kings crowned and buried, watched celebrations and sorrows, triumphs and tragedies. And through it all, they remained, unchanging witnesses, constant companions to every human life that has ever been lived. And they will remain long after we are gone, he continues, his words slow as falling leaves. Our lives are brief candle flickers in the vast night of time, but while we burn brightly. While we are here fully. And when our light goes out, it joins the darkness that held the stars, returns to the great cosmic source, becomes part of the eternal pattern. There is no death, he whispers, only transformation, only cycles completing and beginning again. The thought should be profound, earth-shattering, but instead it arrives as the gentlest comfort, the softest blanket of peace settling over you. You are part of something that cannot end, that has no end, that exists outside of time, even while moving through it. The fear that lives in the back of every human mind, the fear of ceasing, of ending, of disappearing into nothing, it loosens its grip, softens, dissolves like morning mist. Because you are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, briefly aware of itself, briefly taking this particular form, this particular perspective, before flowing back into the greater whole and emerging again in some other form, some other moment, some other manifestation of the eternal dance. The stars above you seem to pulse now with your heartbeat, or perhaps your heartbeat has synchronized completely with some deep cosmic rhythm, some underlying pulse that drives the expansion of galaxies and the quantum dance of particles. The same rhythm expressing itself at every scale, from the infinitesimal to the infinite. You are resting in the heart of that rhythm now, cradled in its pattern, held in its eternal embrace. The astronomer shifts slightly, and you hear the soft sound of bark paper being rolled, tied, put carefully away. His work is complete. The night's observations are recorded and will be added to the great archive, the centuries-long accumulation of knowledge, of data, of careful attention paid to the heavens. Tomorrow night, or the night after, or the night after that, he will return and do the same thing again, and the night after that, and the night after that, season after season, year after year, the same ritual repeated, the same sacred work continued. Part of the great cycle himself, his life woven into the pattern he observes. And tonight, for these precious hours, you have been woven into that pattern too. You have participated in the ancient ritual of watching, of witnessing, of recording, not with pen and paper, but with heart and soul, imprinting this experience so deeply into your being that it will become part of you, change you, guide you in ways you cannot yet imagine, but will discover gradually, gently, as your life unfolds. The cycles will continue. The stars will trace their paths. Venus will descend into the underworld and rise again triumphant. The Tzolk'in will count its sacred days. The Hab will mark its solar year. The long count will measure its vast epochs, and you will carry this night with you, this peace, this connection, this understanding that you are held in patterns too great to fully comprehend, but perfect in their design, flawless in their execution, eternal in their repetition. Rest now, rest deeply. The stars are keeping watch, the cycles are turning. All is exactly as it should be, exactly as it has always been, exactly as it will always be. You are safe in the pattern. You are home in the cosmos. You are peace itself, and sleep comes softly, naturally, like a star setting below the horizon, not ending, but merely completing one phase of an eternal cycle, knowing that rising will come again, that light will return, that everything comes back around in its own perfect time. And now we enter the deepest part of the night, That sacred time when the world seems to hold its breath, when even time itself slows its relentless march and becomes something softer, something more like a gentle tide than a rushing river. The stone walls of the observatory have absorbed the coolness of night, and that coolness radiates gently inward, creating a temperature that is neither warm nor cold, but something perfectly balanced, perfectly right. The astronomer gestures quietly toward woven mats spread upon the floor, each one crafted with such care that the patterns seem to echo the celestial designs above, interlocking diamonds and spirals that mirror the movement of planets and the cycles of time. You settle onto one of these mats, feeling the careful weave beneath you, each fiber placed with intention, with purpose. The mat supports you completely, and you realize you can simply rest, simply be here, in this moment, in this ancient space where so many others have rested before you. All of you connected across time by this same act of watching, of waiting, of surrendering to the vastness above. Through the stone windows, carefully carved and precisely aligned by hands long turned to dust, the stars shine with a clarity that takes your breath away. Each window frames a different portion of the heavens, turning the observatory into a calendar of light, a book written in starfire. The astronomer moves less frequently now, his movements when they come slow and deliberate, like someone moving through water or through dream. He settles onto his own mat, and the sound of his breathing joins yours in the darkness. Two rhythms, then one, then simply the breath of the night itself, flowing in and flowing out, eternal and unchanging. The stone beneath you, the mat that cradles you, the cool air on your skin, the distant stars. Everything conspires to hold you in this perfect moment, this space between sunset and sunrise, where the world belongs only to those who watch and wait. Above you, through the largest of the stone windows, the Milky Way begins to assert itself more fully, emerging from the darkness like a path appearing through morning mist. It stretches across the visible heavens in a luminous river, a band of light composed of countless stars so distant they blur together into something that resembles glowing cloud or sacred smoke. The Maya called it the White Road, the path that souls travel to reach the other world. But tonight it simply is, beautiful and present and eternal, asking nothing of you, offering everything. Your eyes trace its length, following it from one edge of the stone frame to the other, and in doing so you realize that your breathing has slowed even further, each inhalation lasting longer, each exhalation releasing more deeply. The astronomer's voice comes softly now, barely above a whisper, and his words are no longer teaching, but simply being. He speaks of how his father brought him here as a child, how he lay on mats just like these and watched these same stars, how his father's father did the same, and his father before him, an unbroken chain of watchers, stretching back through generations, through centuries, all looking at this same sky, finding this same peace. His words trail off into comfortable silence, and the silence is not empty but full of starlight, full of presence, full of a peace so complete it needs no expression. You notice how the stars don't simply stay still, but move with a slowness that exists at the very edge of perception, tracing their ancient arcs across the heavens, paths they have followed since before humans walked the earth and will continue to follow long after. There is something deeply, profoundly comforting in this, in the idea that change happens slowly, that the universe moves with patient deliberation, that there is no rush, no urgency, only the steady, inevitable turning of the great wheel of heaven. Your body relaxes even more deeply into the mat, and you're no longer certain where you end and the stone floor begins, where the observatory ends and the sky begins. Boundaries dissolve in the darkness, in the starlight, in the deep peace of this eternal moment. Time continues its slow dissolution, becoming less like a line moving forward and more like a pool you're floating in, held suspended in a moment that could last minutes or hours or forever. It no longer matters. The astronomer has fallen silent now, though you can hear his breathing, slow and regular, a meditation in itself. Perhaps he sleeps, perhaps he simply rests in that space between waking and sleeping, that liminal zone where the conscious mind releases its grip and something deeper, something older, takes its place. You exist in that space too now, your eyes open but soft, gazing without effort at the patterns above. Individual stars begin to seem less like separate points of light and more like notes in an infinite symphony, each one contributing to a harmony you feel more than hear. There's a star that the Maya called the First Father, positioned at a sacred point in the sky, and though you don't know which one it doesn't matter. Each star is first. Each star is sacred. Each star is a point of light that has traveled across unimaginable distances to reach your eyes in this moment. You feel your chest rise and fall, and the rhythm seems synchronized with something larger than yourself, as if your breathing is part of the breathing of the cosmos itself. The great inhalation and exhalation that expands and contracts the universe through its endless cycles. The stone of the observatory, ancient and patient, holds the memory of thousands of nights like this one, thousands of observers who have lain just as you lie now, watching just as you watch now, finding peace just as you find peace now. The walls don't feel like barriers, but like embracing arms, like protection, creating a sacred space where the boundary between earth and heaven grows thin, permeable, translucent. Cool air moves through the windows in a gentle circulation, carrying with it the scent of stone and night-blooming flowers and the clean, empty smell of starlight itself. Your eyelids grow heavy, not with the urgency of exhaustion, but with the natural weight of deep peace, of contentment, of surrender. You let them close for a moment, then open again, and the stars are still there, patient, eternal, waiting with no expectation, simply shining, because that is what stars do, what they have always done, what they will always do. In this deepest hour, something shifts that is impossible to name, a quality of presence that goes beyond sight or sound or touch. The stars above continue their patient turning, and you are no longer watching them so much as existing with them, part of the same fabric of being, woven from the same cosmic thread. Your thoughts, which have been growing quieter and more spacious throughout the night, now barely arise at all, and when they do, they're like clouds passing across a distant sky, noticed but not grasped, present but not pressing. The astronomer stirs slightly, and you hear the whisper of fabric against stone, but even this small sound seems to come from very far away, from another world almost, a world where movement and sound still have their usual meaning. Here in this space, everything has become something else, something slower, something softer, something that asks nothing and gives everything. You realize that you've been breathing in time with the turning of the heavens, each breath lasting the time it takes for the stars to move an imperceptible distance along their paths. And this synchronization feels like the most natural thing in the world, as if you finally remembered something you've always known, something you knew before you were born and will know after you're gone. The Milky Way still arches overhead, that river of light, and now you understand what it truly is. Not just a collection of distant suns, but a pathway, a connection, a reminder that everything is part of everything else, that separation is an illusion, that you are made of stardust, and to stardust you will return, and that this is not sad but beautiful, not an ending but a transformation, a continuation of the eternal dance. Your body feels weightless now, supported not just by the mat and stone, but by something larger, by the very fabric of space itself, as if you're floating in a gentle sea of darkness and light, held perfectly, safely, eternally. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do, no problem you need to solve. There is only this: the cool stone, the woven mat, the star-filled sky, the slow turning of the universe, the breath moving in and out, softer now, slower now, barely disturbing the perfect stillness that has settled over everything, like the most gentle of blankets, the most loving of embraces. And now there is only silence and starlight, only presence and peace. The astronomer's breathing has become one with the night, indistinguishable from the whisper of air moving through the stone windows, from the subtle settling of ancient rock, from the soundless turning of the spheres above. You have no idea how long you've been here. Minutes, hours, lifetimes, all measures of time have lost their meaning, dissolved into something more fundamental, more true. The stars shine on, each one a sun with its own family of worlds, its own story spanning billions of years, and yet all of them seem to shine just for you, just for this moment, just to remind you that you are part of something so vast and so beautiful that the word infinite barely begins to describe it. Your breathing has become so slow, so subtle, that you're barely aware of it anymore. In, out, each breath a meditation, a prayer, a letting go. The boundaries of your body have become suggestions rather than facts, and you feel yourself expanding gently outward, becoming the mat, the stone, the air, the starlight, becoming everything and nothing all at once. There is a star directly above you now, visible through the precisely aligned window, and it seems to pulse very gently, though you know this is probably just your perception, just the slight movement of your eyes, but it doesn't matter because in this moment, all perception is true, all experience is valid, all feeling is the universe knowing itself through you. The Maya understood this, that watching the stars was not just about recording positions and calculating calendars, but about remembering, about reconnecting, about finding your place in the great cosmic story that has been unfolding since the beginning of time and will continue long after all memory of humanity has faded into the dark. But even that thought comes from too much thinking, and you let it go, let it drift away like smoke, like cloud, like a dream upon waking. There is only this now, the perfect stillness, the eternal stars, the deep and abiding peace that requires nothing, asks nothing, simply is. Your eyes may be open or closed. You're no longer certain, and it doesn't matter because the stars are visible either way, imprinted on your vision, on your consciousness, on your very soul. Sleep and waking have become one. Silence and sound have become one. You and the universe have become one. There is no separation, no distinction, no difference. There is only peace, infinite and eternal, vast and intimate, ancient and ever new. There is only this moment, perfect and complete, endless and timeless. There is only rest, deep and true, the rest of the stars themselves, shining on through the darkness, patient and eternal, now and forever, here in the deep night, in the sacred observatory, under the eternal sky. And now, in the deepest quiet of the night, something begins to change. It is subtle at first, so subtle you might not notice if you were not so perfectly still, so perfectly attuned to the rhythm of the heavens. The darkness that has surrounded you for these timeless hours, complete and enveloping, begins to shift, just barely, from its deepest black towards something softer. Not yet blue, not yet the color of coming day, but something in between. A lessening of the absolute darkness, as though the night itself has begun to breathe out, slowly releasing its hold. The stars still shine above you, brilliant and steady through the stone windows of the observatory, but there is a quality to their light now, a sense that they are preparing, as they have for countless ages, to fade back into the sky from which they emerged. The astronomer sits nearby, still and silent, gazing upward with the same patient attention that has marked this entire sacred night. You can feel it in the air around you, the gentle turning of the great wheel, the endless cycle beginning its slow revolution once more. The night has held you in its deep embrace, and now, with infinite gentleness, it begins to release you into the coming dawn. There is no hurry in this transition, no sudden change. Everything moves as it always has, as it always will, with the measured grace of the celestial spheres themselves. You breathe slowly, deeply, feeling the cool night air fill your lungs, and you remain perfectly at peace, perfectly still, watching as the ancient dance continues, as the stars shine on, as the darkness begins its gradual, almost imperceptible transformation into light. One by one, the stars begin to fade, not suddenly, not all at once, but with the same gentle progression with which they first appeared in the evening sky so many hours ago. The brightest ones still hold their light, Venus, steady and radiant in the east, and the great luminous points that have guided you through the night. But the smaller stars, the delicate points that fill the spaces between, begin to soften, to blend back into the growing lightness of the sky. It is like watching a tide recede, so gradual that you cannot mark the exact moment of change, only the slow certainty of transformation. The astronomer stirs now, moving with quiet purpose, turning attention to the bark paper spread before him, the careful records of the night's observations. By the dim light of a small oil lamp, he makes his final notations, marking the positions of the celestial bodies, recording the movements that will be compared with those of nights past and nights to come. There is deep satisfaction in these movements, the calm completion of sacred duty. You watch as he works, his hands steady and practiced, each gesture part of a ritual that stretches back through generations, through centuries, connecting this night to all the nights that have come before. The knowledge that this will happen again tomorrow brings profound comfort. The stars will return, the observations will continue, the endless cycles will turn as they always have. Nothing is lost, nothing ends. All returns, again and again, in perfect rhythm, in perfect peace. You feel this certainty settling into your bones, into your breath, a deep and restful knowing that you are part of something eternal, something that cannot be broken or lost. The peace of this understanding fills you completely, and you rest in it, breathing slowly, watching the sky continue its ancient transformation. The sky continues to brighten, degree by imperceptible degree. The deep navy blue spreads upward from the eastern horizon, slowly overtaking the black of night, and within this shifting canvas, the stars continue their gentle disappearance. You can still see the Milky Way, that great river of light that has accompanied you through the dark hours, but it is paler now, less distinct, beginning to dissolve into the growing luminosity of dawn. The air itself seems to change, becoming somehow lighter, fresher, as though the earth is waking and taking its first breath of the new day. From somewhere in the forest beyond the observatory, you hear the first bird call, a single, clear note that rises into the quiet. Then another answers, and another, until the darkness is filled with the gentle chorus of awakening life. These sounds do not disturb the peace. They are part of it, woven into the fabric of the eternal cycles, another rhythm layering upon the rhythm of the stars. The astronomer rolls the bark paper carefully, securing the night's records with practiced ease. He rises slowly, stretching with the subtle stiffness of one who has sat long in observation, and he turns to you with a gentle smile, a look of shared understanding. You have witnessed the night together, kept vigil with the stars, and now you will greet the dawn together. He gestures toward the descending passage, the spiral stone stairway that will lead you down from this sacred height back to the earth below. There is no reluctance in this descent, no sadness at leaving. The observatory will remain, the stars will return, and the cycle will continue. You rise as well, feeling the stillness in your own body, the deep rest that has settled into every muscle, every bone. You are calm, you are at peace. You carry the night's tranquility within you as you prepare to descend. Together, you begin the slow descent down the spiral stairway, your feet finding the worn stone steps that countless astronomers have walked before you for hundreds of years, each one completing this same journey from darkness to light, from night observations to morning rest. The walls of the passageway are cool against your fingertips as you steady yourself, the stones smooth from the touch of so many hands. As you spiral downward, turning around and around the central column, you feel yourself moving through layers of time itself, connecting with all those who have walked this path, all those who have watched the stars and recorded their movements, all those who have found peace in the eternal rhythms of the heavens. The light grows stronger as you descend, filtering up from the entrance below, soft and golden now, the first true light of dawn. The bird songs grow louder, more numerous, a celebration of the returning sun. You move slowly, matching the pace of the astronomer ahead of you. There is no hurry, no need to rush. Each step is deliberate, calm, part of the ritual of transition. When you finally emerge from the base of the observatory, stepping out into the open air, the world has transformed. The sky is alive with color now, soft golds and pale ambers mixing with the dusty blues of retreating night. The great stone structures of Chichen Itza stand silent and majestic around you, bathed in the gentle light of early morning. The air is fresh and cool, carrying the scent of dew and earth and growing things. You pause here, just outside the observatory, and look back up at the structure that has sheltered you through the night. It stands unchanging, patient, waiting for tonight's observations, for tomorrow's, for all the tomorrows stretching forward into time. The astronomer places a hand briefly on your shoulder, a gesture of farewell and blessing, and then turns toward his own rest, his work complete. You stand alone now, but not lonely, filled instead with the deep companionship of the stars, the comfort of the cycles, the peace of eternal return. You walk slowly away from the observatory, following the ancient stone pathways that wind through the sacred site, carrying with you the peace of the night, the stillness of the stars, the deep rest that comes from witnessing the eternal cycles. The sun has not yet risen, but its presence is felt in the growing light, in the warmth that is beginning to touch the air. Around you, the world is waking gently, birds singing in the trees, leaves rustling in the first soft breeze of morning. But within you, the night remains, the silence of the stars, the patient turning of the heavens, the timeless peace of the observatory. All of this you carry forward into the day. You know with absolute certainty that when night falls again, the stars will return. The same constellations will trace their paths across the sky. The same celestial dance will unfold as it has unfolded since before human memory, as it will unfold long after. This knowledge is a gift, a deep and lasting comfort. Nothing is lost. Everything returns. The cycles continue, patient and perfect, and you are part of them, held within their gentle rhythm. As you walk, your steps grow slower, your breathing deeper, and the peace within you deepens as well, spreading through your entire being like the spreading light of dawn. You find a quiet place to rest, a stone bench worn smooth by time, and you sit, gazing out at the awakening world. The stars have faded now, invisible in the light of day, but you know they are still there, still shining, waiting to be seen again when darkness returns. And you will rest now, deep and true, carrying the peace of the eternal sky, the comfort of the endless cycles, the perfect stillness of the stars. Rest now. The stars watch over you. The cycles continue. All is well. All returns. Rest and be at peace, now and always, forever held in the gentle rhythm of the eternal heavens. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story helped you drift off, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more calming stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.